Yeah, can you hold that thought and we'll get it on tape?
And we're rolling.
Okay. Mr. Furnas, if you would introduce yourself and tell us what rank and so forth you served in.
I was joined the Army in July, I think, of 1944, and at that time everybody was put in the infantry because it's late in the war, and they need this over there pretty bad. And I started to take a 24 weeks course in Camp Landing to be an infantryman, but they cut that short about, I don't know, 19 or 20 weeks. And they were supposed to give us a delay en route, but they sent us direct to Camp Kilmer. And from Camp Kilmer, I went overseas one night we left with Queen Mary, and it was triple loaded with soldiers. And we was 4 days getting to Glasgow, Scotland, and after we got to Glasgow, I never knew it till just here a while back, but Dr. Dye was in charge of unloading that ship, getting the wounded prisoners or wounded soldiers back on, and they had the trip home. I never knew that till about 2 years ago. And Dr. Dye did now, but we talked a good bit about it. Then I went to Southampton and crossed the channel on an LST and went on a 40 and 8 boxcar up into Belgium, and that's when I started going.
Okay. You were from Waynesville area.
Yeah, Centerville area too.
Okay. And then when you got there, now what was, you said you were in which army?
We were in first we were in Bradley's army,
okay.
And then we got transferred after we crossed the Rhine to Patton.
Okay. So when you got there, what was going on?
Well, the Battle of Bulge started on the 16th of November, and that was when the Germans out of nowhere had been manufacturing tanks in some mountain somewhere underground, and they just about slaughtered my division and a couple others. They pulled the 1st Division and the 4th Division and I don't know, 3 or 4 others off the line and put our green divisions on. We were back in England, but I wasn't there then. I was a replacement in the Bulge. And those fellows started out, they got an awful surprise. They lost, one company lost practically everybody, and several companies were hit awful bad. And the 108th Division was completely captured. And then on the 25th of December, the Air Force could fly. Before that it was so cloudy they couldn't do nothing. That's why the Germans got such a hold, and they pushed them back pretty quick. Then we were almost pushed to up in the, I guess, Belgium somewhere along the ocean. But we kicked off about January and started across the land. We'd give up plus 200 or 300 miles or kilometers, and wound up at the Remagen Bridge. Did you ever hear that?
The bridge at Remagen, sure did.
Yeah. Well, we crossed that bridge 3 o'clock in the morning one night, and we were lucky. They quit shelling it. They could only shell the approach on account of Big Bluff. Then they quit by the time we got there. And then they started up, and I was at E Company, and F Company got hit all hard getting on the bridge, and they even got the company commander killed. And after that, it was just a rat race across Germany. The way they fought, the Germans would leave a few old men and young boys and dig in a fortification, they tried to delay us that way. But we went clear across the Cologne Plain, and we finally got around a bunch of the Germans. And I don't know if you ever saw those pictures in Life magazine where the guys come off the hills and stuff and surrendered. We must have surrendered thousands of them.
Now, wasn't the bridge at Remagen sort of a turning point in the battle? That was strategic.
I suppose, but I went back over there for the 50th anniversary of it, and I found out a lot more than I ever knew before. That across the bridge was a tunnel. It was on the other side of the river, and there was lots of young children in there from all around the towns. They went there for safety, and my wife sat right beside one of the guys with a little boy, and he told us that the reason there was 5 men in charge, generals or something, and Hitler had 4 of them shot. But the one reason we probably captured it was because those 5 generals surrendered, and it made it easier to get across. They were afraid if we got to firing too many shots that some of them would go in there, and there was a tank load of gasoline in there that was leaking, and there was also a lot of ammunition. So it bet them little kids about all died if that hadn't happened.
Okay, so from what I understand, once the soldiers got across the bridge, it was a lot easier taking ground and so forth.
No, we usually lose maybe 3 or 4 men every time we took a town, and it wasn't easy then. These fellows that they told us they either had to shoot us or the Germans would shoot them from behind, trying to defend the town. And it usually takes several days to get in. If it was a big town. And the big cities like Nuremberg and those cities were bombed awful hard. You never seen nothing like it. And then to soften them up, we took them finally.
How quickly could you move? Did you go a couple miles a day once you got out of the town? Or?
Well, we just walked all the way across Germany. We wound up in Czechoslovakia when the war was over. And then the Russians come in from Berlin, and Eisenhower let them do it. Patton didn't want to. He wanted us to take it. We were in his army then. But it wasn't no picnic. I lost one of my good buddies in a little town up over across the Rhine. He was out ahead of me, and I guess a German tank, there was a church in the center of the town, you know, that this German tank pulled around the church, fired point blank. We think it was 88s, and one of them hit him direct.
Now, was this someone that you had been with for a long time?
No, he was from New Jersey, and I just had met him over there. In fact, he's the only guy I owed money to. I never got my pay caught up with me, and we got a pass back to Russell one time. We took some kind of a bath or something. I didn't have no money, and he paid for me.
Now, you talked a little bit about that. He was a good friend. Were the people that you were good friends with were mostly just ones that you had met up in your unit?
All of them. Yeah. I was all by myself when I started.
No one else in your family joined with you at that time?
No.
Okay.
I didn't have anybody to join. Okay. I was the only boy.
All right. Then when you got over there, you said you lost quite a bit out of your unit, quite a few men.
Well, I suspect after I was very fortunate. I was in the 4th platoon, and the 4th platoon was a light weapons platoon, and it had mortars and machine guns and a bazooka, and we were more or less in the back. the first 3 squads were getting it awful bad. When they was made a scout, they had to go out in front, and they didn't last long. They either got wounded or got killed.
And now, how long did this time period last from the time that you actually entered?
Not very long. That's what I said. I wasn't in much of
Yeah.
the war thing. Glad I wasn't in the Navy. It lasted from December till the 3rd or 4th of May, I think they surrendered.
All right. Now, you talked a little bit about your combat day. What was it like? Did you immediately in the mornings, would you just get up and try to take more ground? What was an average? I know there's no such thing as an average
Well,
day.
sometimes we got pinned down, so to speak, and we'd stay in the same hole for 3 or 4 days. In fact, at the Bulge, when I joined up, I think the foxhole they put me in was dug to the Germans at one time. That ground changed hands twice, and it was Elsenborn Ridge it was called. And when we got finally started, it was almost January, and the snow was melting, and the bodies were beginning to show up, and we were on several details to pick up bodies because the grave people couldn't take care of them fast enough. And then also they made corrugated roads. It was so muddy, but they made them we cut logs 8 foot wide, loaded them on trucks, and they made roads out of them. Just laid them in side by side all the, that was called corduroy road.
And then, so you were there about 5 months until the
Yeah.
surrender came. And then,
Well, then we went back to a little, Leipzigheim was a big, pretty good sized city, and we were in a little town right outside of there, in a Boy Scout camp or something, in the youth or something. We stayed there for a long while, and we were going to take jungle training and be flown over to some base outside of Japan. And I was transferred to the 79th Division. And then when the bomb dropped, it changed everything. And I was transferred to the 1st Division, the big bloody one. And I was in that longer than I was in the 99th. And I pulled guard in Nuremberg at the trial for a little over a year. I got lucky and got out of there for three different times and took agricultural jobs, school. I went to college on some of it, and a professor from Illinois came over there, and I think another one from Michigan, and in the agriculture part of it.
now you said you were guard at Nuremberg.
Yeah.
That was after you did your training to go to the Pacific.
We never took a training to go to
Oh, okay. You said jungle training you took.
We were going to take it,
Okay,
but we never took
but
it.
you never did. Okay, so you went then right into the guard duty at Nuremberg.
I was transferred to
Okay.
the palace. You ever see pictures of us? Well, we stayed right across the street. We were building across the street, and we were on guard, I think, 2 hours on, 4 hours off, but we stayed in a guardhouse while we were, and then we got 2 or 3 days off.
And then after you completed that tour of duty, then what happened to you?
And I got transferred out of there just before that.
Okay. Now, you were guarding, who were you guarding when you were on guard duty? Were you guarding the
Well,
people?
we were guarding the headquarters, the
Okay.
buildings. I pulled a lot of guard on the main gate. They were right across the street from where we were built it. And I pulled guard back at the back In fact, I was pulling guard on the back gate the day they brought Hess over from England. You know, he was over in England.
And then when the trials were still going on when you left that dude?
I think they'd recessed them and were waiting for the verdicts.
Okay. And then you were sent where?
I just went home.
Went home. Yeah, that was the end.
I went to New York and then went to Camp Atterbury. Was discharged there. That's out in Indiana.
Okay. Now, one of the things that Karen had mentioned was that you were a Quaker.
Yeah.
And can you explain how that tied into your decision?
In 1939, we had a teacher from political science or something. I think it was political science. And he got all worked up, and he told us that Hitler started going to Sudetenland and different things. And he said, we all kind of laughed about it, but he said, you guys will all be in the army before it's over, and every one of us went. There was, I don't know, 12 or 13 boys, and we all went.
How did you feel about having to
Well, my dad was on the draft board up in Oakwood, and I was in that draft board, and I don't suppose that had much to do with it. He wanted me to be a CO, go to camp, but I just couldn't see it. It's like a fire gets started, you got to put it out somewhere. And Hitler was running all over everywhere. In fact, I didn't know nothing about the atrocities that was going on until we got over there, or till we crossed the Rhine. See, there was an awful lot of slave labor camps. They don't talk about the Jew camps, but those slave labor camps were no picnic.
Did you see evidence of that yourself there?
Yeah.
What did you see?
Well, the first camp we took was a camp at a little town called Gießen, and they made tile roofs. There's an awful lot of roofs blown off. And there were several thousand men there, and they were Estonians and Lithuanians, and I guess, I don't know, probably a lot of other countries. And we liberated that camp, first camp we liberated. And they were very jolly about it. In fact, they found a cognac factory or warehouse or something, and they got drunk, a lot of them, and went into town and stripped the clothes right off the women, the German women, and took them back to their girls. Different things. And we had to round them up in the middle of the night and lock them back up.
Was this what we think of as like a prisoner of war camp? It was real
No,
similar to that?
it wasn't a prisoner. This was people they
Right.
brought
like
in
slave
there.
labor.
Yes.
But were the conditions like what we think of, or
Well,
not?
they were big, long buildings about like a chicken house, and they had a aisle down the middle, and then the men were 2 or 3 deep in straw. They had straw for mattresses. And we probably seen it at its worst. You see, when we started to come into this town, why the Germans locked those people up. And if they tried to get out a window or something, they shot them. So they had no toilet facilities, no food or nothing, and they was locked up about 4 days before we got in. So I expect we saw them at their worst.
What other things would you like to tell us about from your experiences?
The Belgian people, see, we done most of the fighting in Belgium. And the farm people out on them little farms in them little villages, they were made to give up 9/10 of their produce to Hitler. And if they didn't give it up, they'd shoot them. And they were really glad to get liberated.
Is there anything else that stands out in your mind?
Well,
Wait just a second. I'm going to have to run and get a tape. I thought there was more on it.
There were work camps. Did you liberate any concentration camps?
Yeah,
Which one?
was a little one, some German.
Okay.
I didn't go to Dachau or what's that other big
Yeah,
one?
Auschwitz.
Auschwitz.
Yeah.
That was clear down the southern part, down next to.
What was the concentration camp that you liberated like? It's not on right now, is it?
I don't think she. Anything, are we on? Okay.
Well, we were along some little stream, and we got to take a shower, and they pulled a unit up there, some kind of a truck, and we took all our stood in line to get in there. Everywhere you went in the army, you stood in line, and Patton come up there, and there was one boy. Boy, he was probably ahead of me a good ways, and he had his head down. He was cold, I suppose, and he didn't pay attention to Pat. When he come by, we all saluted him, but that boy didn't. And he stopped and shook him and called him all kinds of names. Pat was good at that, and he just got in that other trouble. I'm all for that. But I guess, from what I've heard, he was in trouble all the time. But when I went back to Germany in whenever the 50th year was, I forget, of taking that bridge, why, we were told by some of the generals, German generals mainly, that were generals at that time, weren't now, but were then, that Patton really had the best idea of the bullets. You know, he finally got his army's armament up there, and he took Bastogne or saved it or something, and he wanted the Montgomery and Eisenhower and I suppose Bradley maybe to do a circle and go down to the Rhine and catch all them Germans before they got across. But they all said, no, we're going to take your ground, we lost. And I suppose it took a lot longer, and those German generals figured he could have done it. But he finally did it on the other side of the Rhine when they had the Ruhr Pocket. You ever hear the Ruhr Pocket? He did then.
Now, how did the men feel about Patton?
Well, everybody admitted he was a smart man, he was a good general, but he was awful mean. he
Wasn't a people person.
when we went in his army across the Rhine, it got rumored to us or something that he wouldn't feed us. We could live off the land. He just wanted gasoline. That's all he wanted brought up was gasoline. And that was partly true, I think.
You said that you were also involved in liberating a concentration camp.
Yeah.
And what was that?
I don't know where it was. I remember we ran the Germans out and tried to feed some of the people, which was a mistake. And then they made us move on. We went on. We didn't stay there.
And where was it?
Military government took care of it. It was somewhere in the flown plane or past the flown plane.
Okay. When you finally got to come back and all of that, was it pretty much just standard procedure?
Well, we came back to a little town outside of Würzburg called Weizsäckheim, and there was a main railroad line went through there, and I got a detail pulling guard in that railroad yard, and it was just outside of Würzburg, and people would steal stuff out of those cars when they were sitting in the be switched to another line, and we had to try to stop that.
What overall were
probably worked there about 2 or 3 weeks.
Overall, were the people the general reaction of the people in the country, were relieved and overjoyed?
Well, we pulled a lot of tricks on 'em. When we'd go into a town, we'd confiscate all the cameras and guns and things, GIs to keep half of it. And old people would come running up to us, showing us a little piece of paper that some guy had said signed it Sad Sack or something else, and they didn't know it. Of course, they never got the cameras back. And then also, the thing they hated the worst, they'd show us pictures of the Hitler Youth and the leader of them. And the American military government made the leader the burgomaster of the town or something. And they couldn't understand why that was going on. But the reason it was going on, because that fellow knew how to handle people better. A lot of them, I guess.
So it was just like an occupation for us then?
Yeah. They appointed somebody to be in charge. And they invariably appointed probably an older man, but he was with the Hitler Youth or something else.
So by the time
they
you
didn't
left...
like it.
I guess not.
They didn't like it. The old people didn't like
Right.
it. In fact, the old people didn't like it. A lot of them.
And by the time you left, had they gotten into dividing up ground and all that, or that was to come after you left?
Yeah, it was rumored that Patton didn't like the Russians at all, and a lot of them, he wanted to fight Russia right now, but that never come to be. In fact, I was at Nuremberg when he got killed. He was in a little some town out there waiting. He was going on a hunting trip, and he was in the back of a staff car. You don't know what a staff car is. And he went down when it hit some truck, and it paralyzed him. Just a freak accident. And then he went to some hospital there, not very far from where I was, and the girls and nurses had come to Nuremberg for something. They hated to take care of him. He was awful. He knew he was going to die, and he wanted to die again. He lived several days.
Now, you said your wife was also in the military?
Yeah.
And where did she serve? And
Newton Baker was the name of the hospital in West Virginia, and they brought all the paraplegics back to that place, and she got along with them real good.
She was an Army nurse?
Yeah.
Did you were married when you were?
No.
Okay.
I didn't even know her.
Didn't know her at that time.
I lost my arm after I got home, like a dummy, in a corn picker, and I went to St. Elizabeth's Hospital, and that's where I met her. She came back to St. Elizabeth for a little while.
So that was it. Was that in the 40s or?
Yeah, that was 46 or 7.
Okay.
And then we got married in 48.
All right. Well, about your experiences in the military, is there something that stands out to you, or something you'd like to tell the community about your time in the military?
Oh,
Or
there's
a positive experience?
A lot of good things went on and a lot of bad things. The American military wasn't a whole lot better than the Germans, I don't suppose. A lot of them, you couldn't blame them. They'd seen their buddies killed. So much had happened. We had one fella that was in the original 99th Division, and he was in ARC. I think he was in ARC platoon, and he saw before I got there, some men was rounded out of a truck, and their hands was tied, and they were his buddies, most of them. They were captured, and they just opened the back gate on the truck and shot him. He was out in the woods and saw him. And from then on, he was mean, and we'd go to some place and eat people's food, and instead of just walking out, he'd pick all the dishes he could, light, up the lights and stuff. But he was a good soldier.
Now, did your time having to serve, did that deepen your convictions, your Quaker convictions? Did it change
Yeah.
them in any way?
I just don't believe I'd have went to the 2 wars after that. I don't know. You never know what happens.
Now, when you were brought, was the issue brought up before the draft board?
Yeah, I was in fact, the other draft board men knew my dad, and he stepped aside for my decision, but they were really surprised that I went to Will. In fact, one of the guys made me in charge of taking the guys to Columbus. We were sworn into Columbus. And on the wheel, up there on the bus, I think there was 20-some of us.
And now, when you went before the board, you had to explain your reasonings for not wishing to serve, or?
Just told them, go ahead and draft me.
Okay, so.
I was drafted, I didn't volunteer.
But you didn't try to use become a religious exemption?
See, I was deferred for farming.
Okay.
For the other part of the war. And then they scraped the bottom of the barrel, so to speak, and took all of it. Montgomery County took all of it. In Warren County here, several of my friends never got they stayed on the farm. But they were a little more hard-boiled up there.
Is there anything that we've left out that you would like to include? I know there's a lot to think about.
Well, I know one thing. I don't think people, it come up here a while back one of the other wars where that commentator wrote his name. He talked to that poor guy that got the congressman or something. You know, it just happened here not long ago.
Oh,
you remember that?
Mr. Carey?
Well, I think all the veterans I know didn't think much of it. And after all, who are you to tell anybody anything when you're in circumstances like they were in?
Hard to be in judgment.
Yeah. And I guess they were a lot different than the people in Europe were. I don't know of anybody in Europe that done anything. Only in the Battle of the Bulge, the Germans did dress up in American uniforms, try to infiltrate their lines, and would actually kill people again.
In case we have some students in our community that don't understand why it's termed the Battle of the Bulge, could you tell us a little bit about that? Was that because of the backup of the soldiers and so forth?
Well, I think everybody was online, and the Germans had this underground, the way I heard, they had an underground place where they made these tanks. And they made thousands of them. And all of a sudden they just come out of the hill, so to speak, and the GIs by themselves, they were pretty well strung out.
And caught by surprise.
And it's called it a bulge, they bulged back.
Now, what was the total distance you probably moved from the time where you started? Was that
several hundred
miles on foot?
Well, we wasn't on foot all the time. We got transported sometimes in them big semi-trucks, same trucks they hauled the prisoners back on. And then also well, the day Roosevelt died, I can remember that real quick. We were going along and following some tanks, and they had radios, and they passed it back that Roosevelt died. Nobody believed it, but it's true.
Did that cause a little morale problem that day?
In fact, one fella, we couldn't remember who was vice president, and Truman, and this one fellow was from Independence, Missouri, and he knew Truman. Oh Lord, he said, we're all doomed now. The old haberdashers in there. That's what he called them.
But how did the soldiers feel about that? Were they concerned?
Well, I think they were.
Yeah.
But I guess what's changed, I don't know.
Well, and do you have some questions?
I just was wondering, did you ever see any entertainers, like
Yeah.
Bob Hope or
Yeah.
any of his troop?
I never saw Bob Hope, but England Bergman, you remember her?
Yeah.
We went into, it was right after we went back, and she got up on the Jeep, and there was probably 1,000 men around there, and it's in the parking lot somewhere in Würzburg, and she recited some things, and I got her to sign a note I had of German Allied mark. It was $10, and I don't know whatever happened. I lost it again. See, we didn't get paid American money. We got paid Allied marks.
Now, what happened when you went to turn that in? Then you turned that in and you got your American money exchanged?
When we went back to La Havre to get on the ship and come home, I come home on a little old Liberty ship. Went over in 4 days. It took about 2 weeks to come home. And they exchanged their money then. And you never seen much gambling in your life as was on that ship. I don't gamble, so guys spread blankets everywhere.
Did you have any more questions, Linda? Yeah. If you don't have anything else to add, I think we'll let you go.
I have a question.
Okay, then Karen's got
I
one.
remember you mentioning once a story about, of course, a lot of the soldiers drank pretty heavy, and of course you don't drink. Was there something,
Oh, yeah.
a story you had
At
about that?
Nuremberg one time, for some reason, I don't know why, a lot of people don't hardly believe we got it, but we got a whiskey ration once a month or once a week. I forget what. And when I'd get mine, I'd give it away. And that meant that some guys got drunk that was supposed to be pulling guard, and Captain Patterson would come and get me to pull guard. I'd pull guard when I wasn't supposed to. So I got enough of that. I finally poured him a bottle of liquor out in the gutter when I'd get it. And it made the guys all mad.
Do you have anything else?
I can't.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you so much.